Summertime has finally arrived and it has brought some wonderful heat with it. Right now it is 39 degrees Celsius here, but with the humidity it is 44 degrees. So that is quite warm for where we are. So I have decided to make some no-bake snacks for my kids. Summertime, these kids are eating all the time. So having some snacks ready, I find, is absolutely essential. So I am going to show you some amazing budget-friendly snacks to help you keep your sanity this summer. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Amanda and I focus a lot on budget meals, frugal homemaking, and urban homesteading. If that's something that interests you, I would love for you to hang out here with us. Lemonade popsicles are an absolute favorite around here on hot days. Recently, I had a subscriber tell me that she made strawberry lemonade popsicles with the tops of her strawberries. I love this idea, so I decided to try it this time. I start by taking 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of water to make a simple syrup. I put it on the stove and melt it down. But in that simple syrup, I put the tops of the strawberries that we had had for a snack. And then it just boiled, and so all the strawberry flavor infused into that simple syrup. I then squeezed some fresh lemons to make 1 cup of lemon juice. I added 4 more cups of water, and then I added my strawberry simple syrup. And once that was done, I just got that into my molds and got it into my freezer. It takes about 4 hours for those popsicles to fully freeze, but that will depend on the size of your molds. Next, I'm doing a kid favorite, which is rice cereal squares. My kids absolutely love Rice Krispie squares. They're something I actually don't make often, so I think they will be really happy to see these this afternoon when they get home. So I'm taking 12 tablespoons of butter and then 32-ounce bag of marshmallows. Now I know this is a lot of marshmallows. I didn't actually even use all of them. I think I used about 28 ounces. So if you don't want to use all of those marshmallows, that's fine. I also doubled this recipe. So the original recipe is 6 tablespoons butter and 1 16-ounce bag of marshmallows. And then when you get that all melted down into a pot, you add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And I added that to 9 cups of rice cereal, although I had puffed quinoa that I also used because I was trying to get that out of my pantry. So I'm using puffed quinoa, but you may also use the rice cereal. I do put rice cereal in at the end as well. So once you've started mixing this all together, you can add some whole marshmallows in. I added the rest of my bag. It was about 6 ounces in there, and these are just the mini marshmallows. So in hindsight, after mixing this in this bowl, I wish I had either done it in my buttered pan or buttered this bowl before mixing, because it started to turn to a bit of a cement on the side of my bowl. And by the time I was trying to get it out and into my pan, it was pretty hard and rather difficult to try and get it all out of this bowl. So I would suggest either buttering your bowl before mixing it or mixing it in a buttered pan. So once that's all mixed, I'm just going to go ahead and press it evenly into this pan. Like I said, I did add some extra rice cereal on top just to add that little extra crunch. The puffed quinoa is good for this, but it doesn't have the same crunch as the rice cereal. So that is why I'm adding in a little extra on top there. And you don't want to be pushing down too hard, otherwise your squares will be hard as well. You want them to have a little bit of air in them to keep them puffy. Next up, I have got these bananas that need to be eaten up, or they're going to be going in my freezer. And I thought a fun summer idea for the kids would be yogurt covered frozen bananas. So this is a really simple idea that I had seen on Pinterest. It's very easy to make, and I think the kids will really enjoy this. So I'm taking bananas right now, but you can use any fruit and do this. And you just take your fruit, cut it up into bite-sized pieces, take some vanilla yogurt, and then just dip that fruit in that yogurt, get it nice and covered. And then you're just going to put it on a parchment-lined baking sheet. I decided to try this with some strawberries as well. I think this will be really delicious, very refreshing for a hot summer day. This last step is entirely optional. I just like to do something a little bit more fun for the kids, and I did it on about half of this baking sheet, and that's just putting some sprinkles on top. So we have these sprinkles. Again, these need to be used up. They're getting kind of old, so that's why I decided to put them on today. But that just adds just a little extra fun for the kids. And once again, we are going to pop these in the freezer and freeze them for at least 2 hours so they're nice and hard. Next, I am moving on to some peanut butter cookie dough bites. These are perfect because they are so easy to make and you do not have to bake anything. So on those hot summer days, you're not worrying about turning on a hot oven. I start off taking 1.5 cups of rolled oats and just blitzing them in my blender until they become more of a flour. In a bowl, I am mixing up 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. I'm using a natural peanut butter here. I add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1/4 cup of maple syrup. Now I just mix this a bit just to get it all amalgamated, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in my oats as well as 1/2 cup of flour. The recipe does call for almond flour or almond meal, but I am personally just using regular flour. And that was just the last little bit of maple syrup that kind of accumulated in the bottom of my cup. So waste not, want not, I got that in there. And now we're just going to mix this up until it completes a nice dough that we can roll into little balls. This is one of my son's absolute favorite just grab and go snacks. He will eat all of these up in no time. And they're decently healthy, which I like as well. So we are just adding in a handful of chocolate chips to this, getting it mixed up, and then forming them into small 2-bite pieces. Once you have these all made up and formed onto your parchment paper on your baking sheet, you can go ahead and get these into the freezer. I would leave them in there for 4 to 6 hours just to make sure that they're fully frozen. After that, you can keep them in the freezer and they're nice, cool snacks. I personally will take them out, put them in Ziploc bag, and keep them in my refrigerator so that they're a little softer to bite into. If you keep them in the freezer, you can bite into them still, but they are just a little harder. So if you've got toddlers or smaller kids that are having a hard time biting through them, you can also keep them in your refrigerator. Lastly, I am moving on to a no-bake cookie. Now, this is a new one for me. I have not made no-bake cookies before, but it was suggested by a subscriber saying that they're easy to make, and this way I'm not turning that oven on such a hot day. So I took 1 cup of granulated sugar and 1 cup of syrup, and I brought it to a boil on the stove. And then after it had been boiling for about a minute, I am adding in 1.5 cup of peanut butter, a tablespoon of vanilla, and 3 cups of a rice cereal. And you're going to want to move quickly so that the hot syrup and sugar mixture kind of melts into everything so that it sticks together. Making this reminded me of one that my mother would make, and it was with chocolate and coconut pieces. And I didn't have any coconut pieces, unfortunately, so that's not one that I made today. But it did remind me so much of the ones that my mom would make as a child. So I had this rice cereal, again, that I wanted to use up, so that's why I chose this recipe. And then I added in the chocolate chips, so it's a chocolate peanut butter bite, basically, and I think the kids will really enjoy it. Although with the cup of sugar and the cup of syrup, it ended up really, really sweet. So you definitely don't need a lot of these at a time. So I started off just putting them in my muffin tins because I was out of baking sheets. This recipe did end up making quite a bit. I did add in some extra rice cereal just because it seemed a little liquidy to me, but after I started forming the balls, I realized I probably shouldn't have added in extra rice cereal just because they were a little harder to form into the cookies with it like that. So probably if the texture has a little bit of extra liquid in it, that's okay, and it will more than likely just harden up. So these are about the size that I'm making mine, although with it being so sweet, these might actually even be too big. So we'll find out. If you're looking for more budget food ideas, make sure you check out the playlist that I have linked right here. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I will see you guys next time.